Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we journey deep into China's past, far beyond the Great Wall and the Terracotta armies. We're going back 5,000 years, to a time before the first emperor, before even the earliest known writing. We're entering the Neolithic world, a time of profound transformation, where settled communities began to form complex societies and even more complex beliefs. These societies left behind enigmatic clues to their spiritual lives, none more captivating than the masks they crafted for their ancestors and gods. These weren't just art. They were conduits to the spirit world, faces for the formless forces that governed existence, carved from jade, clay, and even human bone. The Neolithic period in China, which began around 10,000 BC, marked the dawn of agriculture. As people shifted from nomadic hunting to settled farming, villages grew into towns, and social structures became more layered. With this stability came the time and need for more sophisticated belief systems. Chief among these was the veneration of ancestors, a practice that would become a cornerstone of Chinese culture for millennia. Early burials from this era already contain goods meant for the afterlife, showing a deep concern for the fate of the soul after death. These beliefs were often woven together with shamanism. Shamans were the spiritual specialists of their communities, intermediaries who could journey to the spirit world. They would communicate with ancestors, deities, and the forces of nature, often through trance states and elaborate rituals. And in these rituals, masks were an essential tool. By donning a mask, a shaman wasn't just dressing up. They were embodying a spirit or a god, becoming a vessel for divine communication. These objects held immense power, used in ceremonies from birth to death to pray for good harvests, ward off evil spirits, and guide the souls of the deceased into the afterlife. To understand this world, we'll look at two remarkable and roughly contemporary cultures that took this practice in very different directions: the Liangzhu and the Hongshan. Let's travel first to the fertile plains of the lower Yangtze River Delta, home to the Liangzhu culture, which flourished between 3,300 and 2300 BC. The Liangzhu people were astonishingly advanced. They were master rice farmers who built large, walled cities with complex water control systems, palaces, and towering ceremonial altars. Their society was highly organized and stratified, a fact made clear by the magnificent jade objects found in their elite tombs. But hidden within the moats and canals of this sophisticated civilization, archaeologists uncovered a practice that is both startling and deeply enigmatic: the systematic modification of human bones into ritual objects. Among the most astonishing discoveries at Liangzhu sites are human skulls that have been deliberately shaped into mask-like objects and cups. Imagine finding a skull that has been carefully split vertically down the middle of the face to create an unsettling skeletal mask, or a cranium that has been cut horizontally to form a bowl-like vessel. These artifacts, dated to a 500-year window between 3000 and 2500 BC, represent the first and, so far, the only known example of this type of human bone modification in all of prehistoric China. While some of the skull cups have been found in high-status Liangzhu burials, suggesting a formal, ritualistic purpose, the discovery of these worked bones discarded in canals and moats presents a profound puzzle. Many of the artifacts appear to be unfinished, and their disposal alongside common trash, like broken pottery and animal bones, suggests they were not treated with the reverence typically given to human remains. This has led some researchers to a chilling speculation. Perhaps the rise of a complex urban society at Liangzhu, with its growing population and increasing anonymity, fundamentally altered the perception of the dead. In the bustling anonymity of a city, the deceased may have been viewed not just as specific ancestors to be honored, but as a kind of abstract raw material for powerful ritual objects. The bones show no signs of violence, indicating they were likely processed after the bodies had naturally decomposed. But the practice itself appeared suddenly, lasted for about 2 centuries, and then vanished. leaving behind a host of unanswered questions. Were these skeletal masks worn in ceremonies to invoke the dead? Were they meant to represent ancestors, vanquished enemies, or something else entirely? The sheer ambiguity of these bone masks makes them a haunting testament to a complex and perhaps rapidly shifting ritual landscape in ancient Liangzhu society. Now, let's travel north. At the same time the Liangzhu were carving bone in the south, the Hongshan culture was thriving in northeastern China, in what is now Liaoning province and Inner Mongolia, from about 4,500 to 3000 BC. If the Liangzhu's most unsettling legacy is bone, the Hongshan's is jade. The Hongshan people were master carvers of this hard, precious stone, transforming it into an array of symbolic objects that offer profound insights into their spiritual world. At the heart of the Hongshan spiritual landscape is the Neolithic archaeological site. This was not a city for the living. It was a vast, sacred ceremonial complex, dating back over 5,000 years, dedicated to ritual, sacrifice, and burial. The site is arranged in a deliberate, meaningful way, with a mysterious goddess temple, large stone altars, and impressive cairn tombs. Inside the subterranean remains of the goddess temple, archaeologists made a stunning discovery: fragments of clay statues of nude female figures, some of which were life-sized or even larger. They were once painted, and one surviving head had eyes inlaid with polished jade. These powerful figures, interpreted as deities, have no parallel in other Chinese cultures and point to a unique fertility cult at the center of Hongshan belief. The tombs at Neolithic reveal a clear social hierarchy. The most important, central graves contain a wealth of exquisite jade artifacts, but are completely devoid of everyday items like pottery. This is a crucial clue. It suggests that jade was not merely a symbol of wealth, but a substance of immense spiritual significance, a conduit for communicating with the divine, and a marker of power in both this life and the next. Among the most iconic Hongshan jades is the Zhulong, or pig dragon. This is a coiled creature, often C-shaped, with the snout of a pig and the body of a serpent. These, along with other jade artifacts, like hooked cloud-shaped pendants and small, human-like figurines, were meticulously crafted and polished. Many have small holes drilled through them, indicating they were worn as ornaments or attached to clothing, perhaps by shamans or tribal leaders during important ceremonies. The fact that these jade dragons have a consistent form across a vast geographical area suggests a unified belief system and a shared spiritual identity among the Hongshan people. The dragon, which would later become a dominant symbol in China associated with rain and power, likely played a central role in their rituals for agricultural abundance. And while no definitive jade masks in the traditional wearable sense have been found, the life-sized goddess head with its jade eyes, along with other flat jade plaques that seem to represent human or divine faces, shows a deep connection between facial representation, sacred jade, and ritual practice. These artifacts can be seen as powerful precursors to the more explicit masks of later cultures, objects that bestowed upon the wearer a divine or ancestral identity. The designs that adorn these ancient ritual objects were not random decorations. They were a symbolic language, speaking of the beliefs and worldview of these Neolithic peoples. One of the most pervasive and mysterious motifs in all of early Chinese art is the Taoti. The Taoti is a zoomorphic mask, characterized by a pair of large, staring eyes, often with horns or a crest, but almost always lacking a lower jaw. This image is most famously associated with the elaborate bronze vessels of the later Shang and Zhou dynasties, but its origins can be traced right back to the Neolithic jades of the Liangzhu culture. The stylized, mask-like faces carved onto the corners of Liangzhu jade kong, which are square tubes with a circular hole, are now considered to be the earliest representations of this powerful symbol. The name Taoti itself, given much later, translates to glutton, and later texts describe it as a monstrous, ever-devouring beast. But its original meaning is lost to time. Scholars have proposed countless interpretations. It may be a protective symbol, its fierce gaze warding off evil. It could be a representation of the awesome and untamable forces of nature. It might be a totemic animal, the symbol of a particular clan. Or it could be the face of a mask worn by shamans to facilitate communication between the human and spirit worlds. That strange lack of a lower jaw has led some to suggest its purpose isn't about devouring at all, but about a form of mysterious communication, a face that only emits but does not consume, speaking to the heavens. Whatever its precise meaning, the Taotie was clearly a symbol of immense power and a key element in the visual culture of ritual and authority for thousands of years. Just as important as these divine or monstrous faces was the face of the ancestor. As we've noted, ancestor veneration was fundamental. The spirits of one's ancestors were believed to continue existing after death, capable of influencing the fortunes of the living. To secure their blessings and avoid their wrath, regular offerings and rituals were essential. In this context, the mask was a powerful tool for making the intangible tangible. In funeral rites, masks were sometimes used to protect the deceased. Jade plaques representing the eyes, nose, and mouth might be sewn onto a burial shroud, forming a protective mask for the body in the afterlife. During sacrificial ceremonies, a shaman or a designated family member might don a mask to embody an ancestor. This act provided a physical presence for the spirit, allowing it to receive the offerings of its descendants directly. This ritual transformation blurred the lines between the living and the dead, the human and the divine, making the abstract concept of an ancestral spirit tangible and immediate. The ritual use of masks did not end with the Neolithic period. It evolved and, in some cases, grew even more spectacular. Let's leap forward in time, several millennia, to the 12th and 11th centuries BC. In modern-day Sichuan province, a unique and still mysterious civilization, now known as Sanxingdui, was creating some of the most spectacular masks ever discovered. In 1986, workers accidentally discovered two large sacrificial pits filled with an astonishing treasure trove of artifacts made from bronze, jade, and gold. Among them were bronze masks, unlike anything else ever found in China. Some of these masks are massive. One stands over 4 feet wide. They are stylistically distinct from anything made by the contemporary Shang dynasty. They have angular, almost alien features, exaggerated almond-shaped eyes, some with pupils that protrude several inches from the face, and large, stylized ears that flare out like wings. Some of the masks were even covered in thin sheets of gold foil, which would have gleamed in the firelight of ancient ceremonies. Given their size and weight, these masks were likely not worn by living people. Instead, they may have been mounted on wooden pillars or life-sized mannequins, and used in grand sacrificial ceremonies to represent gods or legendary ancestors. One ancient text describes the first mythical king of the local Shu kingdom, a figure named Kan Kong, as having protruding eyes. This has led many to believe these masks are awe-inspiring representations of him. The discovery at Sanxingdui reveals a distinct artistic style and a unique, powerful regional expression of ritual practices that had their roots in the Neolithic cultures thousands of years earlier. They stand as a powerful testament to the enduring importance of the mask in the spiritual life of ancient China. So what do we make of all this? The 5,000-year-old masks of Neolithic China, whether carved from the bones of the dead by the Liangzhu, masterfully worked from sacred jade by the Hongshan, or cast in shimmering bronze by the people of Sanxingdui, are more than just archaeological curiosities. They are portals into the soul of a bygone era. They speak of a time when the worlds of the living, the dead, and the divine were intimately connected, when shamans walked between realms, and when the forces of nature and the spirits of ancestors were given faces of power and mystery. These ancient artifacts reveal the deep-seated origins of ancestor worship and ritual practices that would continue to shape Chinese civilization for thousands of years. They demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of symbolism and an extraordinary level of craftsmanship. From the unsettling bone visages of Liangzhu to the divine jade figures of Hongshan, these masks uncover a rich and diverse spiritual landscape. They remind us that long before written history, the people of ancient China were already grappling with life's biggest questions and creating objects of profound and lasting power to find the answers.